What's up, Bulls Nation? Peck here from CHGO Bulls, live here in our studios downtown Chicago. Pre-game coming up right now. Bulls, Knicks at the Garden. Paying a visit to Tom Thibodeau, Jalen Brunson, Cat. Let's talk. What's going on, Bulls Nation? Welcome in to CHGO Bulls pregame, coming to you live from our studios here in West Loop, downtown Chicago. I'm Peck, Bulls_Peck. That's Big Dave Bow. BWL Sports. Bow. Will the Go Gottlieb, perfectly coiffed. Will_Gottlieb. Queen on the controls, the one and only Katie Dovey. Bulls out on the East Coast, taking on Tom Thibodeau in the New York Knicks tonight. We are going to preview the matchup. Shout out to Coors Light, our presenting sponsor for pregame. Also, shout out to them because the Bulls' next game after tonight is revenge game against the Cavs. Mm-hmm. It is the Bulls' first NBA Cup game of the year. And it is going to be a Coors Light CHGO Bulls live watch-along. We'll be right here in studio, right here on this set, watching that game. Y'all should come hang out with us, with your fellow Bulls fans in our live YouTube comments, that live feed. It's going to be a good time.
Professional ball watchers.
Bulls gave the Cavs a good fight the other night.
Yeah.
Let's see if they can do it again. But in the meantime, they got to try and get past Thibs and the Knicks first. Few different injury updates on both sides tonight. First of all, Lonzo Ball does remain out for the Bulls with that wrist. I did see a video of Casey Johnson's on Twitter just a few moments ago. Lonzo seen out on the Madison Square Garden court doing some dribbling.
Good.
Not wearing a brace.
Good.
It did appear like as though his wrist was like taped up in some way.
Okay.
I don't know if you got any other intel when you were at the home game on Monday, Goat, but sounds like Lonzo's maybe targeting Friday, but maybe more realistically Sunday for his return.
I would maybe think it would be coming a little bit later than that.
Okay.
Just because like I think the other night was the first day that he started dribbling. So obviously like he's been able to run, he's been able to condition. I don't think that part of it is a problem. And there have been no setbacks with his knee. But Julia Poe just tweeted that he was getting some shots up. She posted a couple of videos there. She said no setbacks, but still experiencing some discomfort in his sprained wrist. Billy said the goal is for Ball to be back Friday at Cavs or Sunday versus Rockets, but no firm timeline set. So I think that's possible, but it just feels like quick turnaround if he just started dribbling. So I don't know, maybe, but I'm always going to err on the side of caution, especially with Lonzo.
As you should. Yeah, take your time.
Jalen Smith, meanwhile, is available again after missing a game on Monday with his non-COVID illness. So good news there. The Bulls front court gets a little bit of that help back, which might come in handy tonight against this Knicks team. LaVine was still listed on the injury report with that adductor strain that's been troubling him that caused him to miss a few games earlier this season. But that probable is about to turn into a not only active but in the starting lineup.
For sure.
Meanwhile, Thibs, when he met with the media pregame in the Garden, in classic Thibs form, you had Brunson, Cam Payne, and Deuce McBride all listed as questionable with various injuries tonight. Brunson, of course, tweaked his ankle in their game last night. They played their first cup game against the Sixers last night and got a win. Payne is dealing with a hamstring. Deuce McBride with knee inflammation. Classic Thibs said they're all game time decisions. Never given up an inch of intel. Our old friend Tom Thibodeau. You got to love it. Also, of course, Mitchell Robinson remains out for the Knicks. He's dealing with a bad ankle. Not expected back until sometime in January. Precious Achiuwa also out with a hamstring. So these are not the full-strength Knicks. Could be part of the reason why they've kind of gotten out to this mediocre 5-5 start.
Yeah. I mean, you and I talked about this, man. We thought this would be the season. Things were kind of, on the injury train for the Knicks, and it started kind of early. You're going to see those high minutes because of that from these guys. You're going to see those 40-minute games from Cat, from Jalen Brunson. They're a tough team. They're a good team. They just still haven't found their footing yet. I think a lot of it is because they haven't been at home also. 7 of their 10 games have been on the road. Mm-hmm. This will be the first of a 4-game homestand for them. So I think that's a good thing. Nothing like home cooking and nothing like playing in New York, and you're playing the Chicago Bulls at the same time. So yeah, they can get back on the road and back in check. But, yeah, they are struggling and middling and hanging around. But luckily the East isn't great, so they can still be a 3 or 4 seed right now.
Yeah, a couple things just kind of looking into some of the numbers here. I mean, they're third in offense, so that's clicking, right? Like you bring in Karl Towns to really elevate your ceiling as an offensive group, even at the expense of maybe your ability to defend at a high level, but that's working. 121.3 points per 100 possessions. Defensively, they have struggled. They are 22nd in the league right now. But Matt, you mentioned they're 5-5. According to their what their expected wins would be based on their point differential, which is plus 5.2. It's number 7 in the league. They should have won expected 6.5 wins. So they are underperforming in terms of wins so far this year. And you expect that to get to a point where it kind of evens out over the course of the season. So that means you're probably looking at, maybe getting a win or 2 here when maybe you shouldn't. But kind of zooming into even their last 2 weeks, they played 7 games. They, over that time, are 3rd in offense, 12th in defense. So I think it's going to take some time for them to really find an identity now without Isaiah Hartenstein, without Mitchell Robinson, without, Julius Randle and Dante DiVincenzo, some of their key players from last year. I think it's going to take some time with this new personnel of Mikal Bridges and Karl Towns to really form an identity on the defensive end. But obviously with Thibs at the helm, that's going to come at some point. And so it's just a matter of when do they really hit their stride. And it seems like they are starting to do that now.
Yeah.
Right.
And even on top of that, the Knicks held Philly to 99 points. When the Knicks hold an opponent to under 100, they're 4-0. So
and I think they've held
that's all they got to do.
3 opponents under 100.
Yeah.
The Knicks starting lineup officially is OG Anunoby, Josh Hart, Brunson is in there, Bridges and Towns. A formidable starting 5. You mentioned the minutes thing, Dave, with good old Grandpa Thibs. People always want to make it an issue, right? Does he play his guys too many minutes? Is it why they maybe don't get over the hump come playoff time? They all, I mentioned, played the Sixers last night. Bridges played 35 last night, Hart 37, OG 41, Brunson 35, Cat 38. When you look at their minutes per game so far this season across the NBA, Bridges, 6th most minutes per game in the NBA at 37.5. Josh Hart, 12th, 36.7. OG, 36.5, 15th. 3 of their starting 5 are in the top 15 in minutes per game. Then you got Brunson averaging just 34.5 minutes per game. That's 37th most in the NBA. And Towns, the least of their starting 5 at 33.5 minutes per game. That's 53rd ranked in minutes per game. And, everybody rolls their eyes at the Thibs minutes, right? But when I was looking at that, you know what I found?
Tell me.
Okay, 3 of the Knicks starting 5 are in the top 15 of minutes per game so far. The Sacramento Kings, the Kongs, DeMar's new home, they have 4 players in the top 10. DeMar, 3rd in the NBA in minutes per game out of the gate.
Same old DeMar.
Still got it.
That's who he is.
DeMar, De'Aaron Fox, Keegan Murray, and Sabonis, all in the top 10 in minutes per game. So it's are people yelling about that with the Kings right now?
No, they aren't. I don't think they're going to.
Always yell about it with Thibs.
Yeah, Thibs is so glaring. His is different. It's just very glaring. And these other teams like the Kings, this is also like last year, as Will pointed out, they were like the greatest offense in the history of the NBA. But they weren't playing a ton of minutes then. Like DeMar DeRozan is going to play those minutes. That's what he's going to give you. Jalen Brunson is going to play those minutes. That's what he's going to give you. I still remember the playoff game where he played the entire game, including the overtime. That's who he is. That's how it rolls. But Thibs will always get that knock on him because it comes with the injuries with him and the devastating ones with him. So that will forever be something that's on Thibs' plate, whether it's something that's fair or not. it will always be something that is relevant on Thibs' plate, because sometimes it's not just the amount of minutes you do, but when you play those players, the amount of minutes, like coming off a back-to-back, like tonight. So I'm very interested in seeing what it's going to look like tonight, especially knowing Jalen Brunson was a game-time decision. I'm very interested to see how he goes forward with that. Does he, pull off the brakes a little bit, or is he just the Thibs that I know that is balls to the wall? We going for it. So, yeah, very interested to see.
Well, and here's the thing. It's like, yes, this Knicks team has a ton of talent, and their starting five is really strong. But outside of that, when you trade two starters or two starter caliber players for one, you cut into your depth. And right now, I mean, Miles McBride, I think, has been fantastic sixth man for them. I think he's putting up numbers that, you could potentially look at the end of the year and say he's sixth man of the year candidate. After that, it's Cameron Payne, Jericho Sims, and that's kind of it. I mean, nobody else is really playing minutes.
Kind of it.
You've got Matt Ryan, who's played 2 games, 7.5 minutes per.
Nice.
You've got Pacome Dadier, their rookie.
Well done, Will.
He's played 4 games, 7 minutes per. You've got Tyler Kolek, a rookie, 7 games, 6.7 minutes. Ariel Hukporti, a rookie, 5 games, 6.5 minutes. And Jacob Toppin. So he's played 3 games, 3 minutes a game. So they just don't have the depth to be able to play a bench. And so even if they had that kind of roster, who knows whether they'd be doing it, but right now they just don't. And so that's where you look at some of those moves and you have to question, like, yeah, it looks great when you get Karl Towns. It looks great when you get Mikal Bridges. What was the cost, and what does that mean for the rest of your team?
Yeah.
And not having Mitchell Robinson, it feels like there's going to be another move that they make here, and maybe it's just Mitchell Robinson coming back, but they just have zero depth. And with that, you have very little margin for error. So they have to get a lot from these starters, and that means playing them a lot, but it also means they need to produce a lot.
That's a fact. Hey, Julia.
Shout out to everybody joining us in the comments. Hit that like button. Do it for Katie so she doesn't have to bug you to do it. Just do it.
Just do it.
Take you half a second.
Just do it.
Our guy French Bulls TV saying those guys play heavy minutes for the Knicks. I know, or I hope we can use that on a back-to-back night for them to make an advantage for us. Yeah, I mean, could have some tired legs for those Knicks players tonight who did get that first NBA Cup win over Philly last night and played heavy. Their starters played heavy minutes.
Yes, they did.
Fish in the comments said, I miss Thibs, after Katie also said she kind of misses Thibs. Julie said, I miss him like a toxic ex, low lows and high highs.
That's about right.
I do, like, my feeling when I look back on Thibs is nostalgia. It's still in that, like, not too distant past nostalgia. Hey, guess what? You know who this team's coach was the last time the Bulls were relevant, and the only time since the dynasty the Bulls have been relevant? Because it was Tom Thibodeau.
I think people got frustrated with Thibs for some reason that didn't really make a lot of sense to me. Like
murdering people.
I mean, the people who are like one issue voters with hating Thibs and the D Rose thing drive me crazy.
It's like
it's a fluke.
All he did was like get teams to overachieve and like make the playoffs and make deeper runs than they should have based on their talent level.
Incredible coach.
And then run into LeBron, who was second greatest player of all time. Like that happens.
Yeah.
If anybody should know that, it should be the fans of the Bulls.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, it happened. I mean, but there's something there. I mean, it's not the Bulls aren't the first team to let go of Thibs. So it's something there.
And I get it. It's like he's a lot.
Yeah, he's a lot. You know what I mean? Like he's a lot.
When you look back at it, it was, first or second round playoff runs every single year, figuring out a way to make DJ Augustine work, figuring out a way to make Nate Robinson and Marco Bellinelli work. Like, I mean, it just constantly, consistently finding ways to get more out of your players. And
shout out Aaron Brooks.
And exceed the sum of your parts, which is like what any coach would want to do.
No, he was phenomenal with that. As many complaints I lauded towards Thibs during his tenure, because I kept telling him, the definition of insanity is doing the same thing over and over again, expecting different results, and he did that all the time. But the thing would say all the time was, dude, he was coach of the year like 4 out of 5 years when he was here, dog. Like, it was unbelievable.
Those that Bull squads as undermanned and injured as they were, above
and then he's won it again, like
consistently, and
showed that he can evolve and like do it with different teams and different groups.
Yeah.
So I mean, obviously a Hall of Famer, but like, I get why it gets tired after a certain point, because you do want change. If you are getting the same results year after year, I think it gets tiresome. But then there's also like the grass is always greener, right?
Yeah.
Like, didn't turn out that way.
Right. Speaking of Hall of Famer, I did see people on Twitter, some of the Bulls beat that's out there, somebody had a quote, maybe somebody had a video. They're already asking Thibs about D Rose retirement night, which is, Bulls Knicks back at the UC in January 4th.
Oh, he in the house.
When Thibs will be here with those Knicks. And he said, yeah, D Rose Hall of Famer, like without a doubt.
Yeah.
So we'll see. It'll be interesting to see if Thibs is involved in some way, other than just like being the Knicks head coach who gives a wave, like whenever they do the D Rose ceremony, if it's a halftime ceremony, if it's whatever it is.
Yeah.
Because, the D Rose Thibs connection, coach, player, mentor, mentee, friends, all that stuff. It existed well beyond their 10 years in Chicago.
Without a
D
doubt.
D Rose had a second life in the NBA, and Thibs was his coach.
Second and third.
Like
everywhere Thibs went after the Bulls, D Rose ended up.
Minnesota, New York.
Yes, that was the thing. So I thought that was awesome. You can throw Joakim Noah in there as well. You can throw Taj Gibson in there as well. Like, hell, who did
By the way, Taj Gibson's still starting NBA games.
Yeah, an amazing dunk. We saw that. That was an incredible dunk. But yeah, Aaron Brooks, we talked to him at Summer League Flex. When he was standing outside. And it was just, he had nothing but great things to say about him when he was out there. I mean, he has a job with the New York Knicks right now. So yeah, Thibs always looks out, man. And I honor loyalty. I'm an incredible loyal person. It's my gift and curse.
You're definitely incredible.
But thank you. But yeah, man, like I think Thibs is a great coach. He always has been, but he is not without his flaws like anybody else in the NBA. And I'm interested to see when those flaws come up. Like they're going to come up in New York. I'm interested to see how New York handles them because Thibs is dug in, for the tenure for a nice amount of years going forward for this team. And you see what he's done. All he does is make point guards better. I'm interested to see what he does with Cameron Payne to help make him better, man. And it's what he's always done. So I'm very curious just to watch his tenure over the next 5 years, because we haven't seen it go that long, with Thibs, without teams saying, we've had enough, let's move on from this. So I'm very curious, man. But proof is in the pudding, man. He's an incredible coach.
All right, and one of his new pupils this season in New York, Karl-Anthony Towns.
Yeah.
Bodega Cat.
Yeah.
Which, by the way, quickly has vaulted into among my top favorite NBA player nicknames.
Genuinely, I love it so much.
Love it.
It's phenomenal.
I mean, like, people might be like, what's a Bodega Cat?
What?
But
well, yeah, you ain't been to New York.
Yeah. Have you never been to New York? Haven't lived in New York?
Yeah.
Say it with me. Bodegas. Yes.
Bodegas.
Very good.
Hey, Black.
Brother Dave, when we were both living in New York back in our youth, his bodega guy would lend him his bodega cat to catch the occasional mouse.
Oh,
that was my brother's apartment.
Yeah.
That's the usefulness of bodega cats.
Yeah. Always.
My brother walked in there one time and was like, "Hey, do you have any like mouse traps? Like the little."
Like, I'll do one better.
And he just picked up a cat from behind the counter and was like, "Here, borrow my cat. Bring it back tomorrow."
Always will find the cat laying on the bread.
Bodega cats,
all the time. Bodega cats are always laying on the bread.
So his first season with the Knicks, Towns is looking pretty good so far. When you compare the numbers to his final season with the Wolves, when he was averaging just shy of 22 a game on very impressive 50, 41.5, 87 shooting splits, he's kicked that up a notch through his first 10 games as a New York Knick. 24.5 per game, 52.5, 51, 87 shooting splits, 12.4 rebounds, 2.7 assists as well. The 51% from three and the 12.4 boards are both active career highs.
Yeah.
He did actually, I think, in one of his early All-Star seasons with Minnesota have 12.4 rebounds. And the last couple of years with Rudy in town, his rebounding numbers like plummeted. Plummeted to like 8s and 9s and whatever. But, for a guy Towns size who is as good of a rebounder as he is, I mean, fitting in like a hand in a glove. And I was curious about usage percentage. When a player of that, that caliber switches teams, you always wonder. Like we've talked about it with Vooch and DeMar and Zach and that trio of players in Chicago. It's almost identical. His usage percentage with Minnesota last year, 27.4. So far with the Knicks, 27.6. He's just doing cat things.
Yeah. First of all, I like how all his pictures always look like that.
Yeah.
No matter what photo he takes.
That's his face in every photo.
Every photo. ever.
Did you see that he headbutted 2 Sixers players within the span of like a split second in one of those plays last night?
I did. Shout out to him for that. Like he's tired of people,
making that face.
He's tired of people making, thinking he's soft. Like, yeah, he don't like it.
They were accidental headbutts.
Yeah, but we'll take it. But I will say, like, his 3-point shooting is what stands out the most to me. The rebounding, I thought, that's just what's going to come because, again, he knows who he's playing for. Thibs is demanding, and he better get out there and do something because it's not going to be on defense because he has been getting his ass bust on defense. Those defensive numbers of guys in the paint, oh, my God. Yeah, he's been getting worked down there. But coming back on the offensive end, he's definitely been scoring. And that 3-point shooting, man, 51% is insane. Insane for a dude his size at playing his position is absolutely crazy. And he's not just throwing them up there either. I don't feel like this is luck. Like, this is the guy who says, I'm the greatest shooting big man ever. This is how he feels. So this is what he does, man. And the 3-point shooting has just been phenomenal. The Bulls are going to have to be watching out and looking out for this. I'm curious how Billy Donovan goes defensively with this because Vooch is not known to go out there, you know what I'm saying, and guard those guys out there. Does he try to cheat with Patrick Williams, putting him out there? Maybe Jalen Smith gets a little more time out there against Cat because that is what's going to have to put a stop to it. What he does in the paint is what he does in the paint. Sometimes guys just work it, just like with Vooch. Yeah. He's just working you out there. But those 3-point shots, you have got to get a hand up on him, man, when a dude is that hot from out there.
Well, what's crazy is as well as he's shooting it, he's just not taking very many. He is only taking 4.7 threes per game, which does not seem like it's that low.
Yeah, that's a lot for a dude.
It's a bit of a dip. He was at 5.3 last
year. 5.3. The year before that, 5.7. But he's also playing more minutes per game. So when you look at it per 36 minutes, he's taking only 5.1 threes. Last year, 5.8, 6.2 the year before that, then 5.3, 6.7. And in 2019-20, he was taking 8.4 threes per 36 minutes. And that sounds like a lot, but like to me, that's why you go get a Cat. It's so that you can run pick and roll over. It's so you can run pick and roll with Jalen Brunson over and over again and get pick and pop threes for him and completely remove all defenders from the paint and let Brunson have driving lanes and have an elite 3-point shooting big behind him to throw it back to. So to me, like that seems like some low hanging fruit that the Knicks can go to and say like, let's try to even ramp up our offense even more and take more threes and really put pressure on opposing bigs to pull them away from the basket so that full paint is wide open. And I think that's where, you could see a guy like Vooch getting in trouble because he wants to be closer to the rim. Yes. But if he's pulled out towards the basket, like the Bulls don't really have anybody else that can step over and protect the rim either. And that's where I think the Knicks can really do some damage. Like you have great cutters with Mikal Bridges and Jalen Brunson obviously is a great driver. You have Josh Hart, who's a really good offensive rebounder. I think they can just do a little bit more there. And I'm just curious to see how it evolves throughout the season.
Yeah, very curious.
As you mentioned, Dave, a couple of people in the comments also a fan of giving Jalen Smith a bit more run tonight. If he's feeling up to it, coming off of this illness, whatever it was. Tom said, let Rex Specs run out there and guard him.
Rex Specs. Shout out.
And Niles Reed saying, I expect to see a lot of Jalen Smith and P. Will switching. I'm good with Rex Specs as a nickname. I think Jalen Smith said that his nickname is Sticks.
Sticks,
and I'm just not with that.
Because of the Joakim Noah?
Yeah, exactly.
That's too close.
It's too close.
Yeah.
Sticks Diggity? Come on now. No. Your nickname cannot be Sticks if you play for the Bulls. Seats taken.
Seats taken. Rex Specs. Old school in it.
Yeah, it will be an interesting test. The efficiency is there, and the volume is just down a tad, as you were saying. Go with Towns' 3-point percentage. Dave, you were talking about what he gets in the paint, he gets in the paint. I was curious because I saw that his overall field goal efficiency is down a little bit, despite the fact that his overall percentage is up so high because of the 10% jump on his 4.5 threes a game. His shots at the rim are not good through these first 10 games. Towns is a 70.6% finisher career at the rim, 0 to 3 feet. Last season with Minnesota, 69% at the rim.
Nice.
This season so far, that's fallen all the way down to 58% finishing from 0 to 3 feet. I don't know what's going on with Towns, but he has not been as dominant finishing around the rim so far this season. And for a Bulls defense that has just been getting pummeled inside, maybe they get a little luck / help with Towns not being as dominant inside as he has been.
But I like his activity when you watch him playing now. Like, because he's driving more, too, also to the lane and trying to finish over guys, like dunking on them all the time, which is not something I'm used to seeing from him. So he's missing those, but he's getting to the line. What is shooting? 87%, I think you said.
Yeah.
From that line, which is great. But he is going to the paint and he is trying, like physically trying to. He's not finessing anything. And that's kind of changed where he's at in New York. But to have his percentage drop like that, to have his attempts drop like that, but his points per game go up, and obviously because of the minutes and stuff that he's playing, but to still be that formidable along with the rebounding that he's doing, Bodega Cat, he's a problem, man. He's an issue.
Let's now, with our remaining time, shift gears to the other problem the Bulls defense will face tonight, and that is Jalen Brunson.
Jesus.
Tweaked the ankle against the Sixers last night, but is going to give it a go in the starting lineup.
Mm-hmm.
You look at these home and road splits that you wanted to discuss, Dave.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, that's the word.
Bad news for the Bulls is that he is playing a home game tonight.
Exactly. And that's why I wanted to bring it up. But the splits, as you can see them, it's not a small thing. These are huge gaps in there between what he does at home and what he does on the road. And again, granted, more road games. He's played 7 on the road.
Only 3 home games.
Only 3 home games, but damn. What jumps out to me more so was the defensive rating. At 92 when he's at home, but 119, damn, when he's on the road is crazy. The assist-to-turnover ratio also was awesome. His points per game is 4th highest when he plays the Chicago Bulls. And he shoots also 46% against Chicago Bulls. He's averaging, I believe, 6.4 assists a game. Do you know what team he averages the most assists a game against? Because it's the Chicago Bulls. Yes, that's the average he's averaging against the Bulls is 6.4. So I'm saying all that to say, combining that with those the offensive rating, the defensive rating, and the assist-to-turnover ratio that he has at home, combining that with already I played very well against the Chicago Bulls, they have problems with Jalen Brunson they're going to have to look out for and get. Even his turnover ratio, Matt.
And assist-to-turnover ratio above 10?
Dude, it's insane.
Wild.
Dude, just look at his turnover ratio, period. On the road is 9.5. At home, it's 2.3. Like, it's insane just how comfortable he is, and he loves being the man in New York. Like, he has enjoyed being that guy with the New York Knicks. But it's just, man, now that he's got at home with a 4-game homestand and time to get his thing together, I think we're going to see an actual problem out of Jalen Brunson. And I'm wondering who's going to be the guy defending him because it's going to have to be Ayo. That was a trick question. Ha. It's going to have to be Ayo Dosunmu, man, because Josh Giddey is not going to be that guy. And then Kobe, he's super crafty, and Kobe struggles with those crafty guards who can get those little, whatever you want to call them. I call them cheap shots. I call them little cheap shot, little digs with the elbows, little stuff like that. Definitely a foul baiter guy.
Totally foul baiter.
So yeah, and he can get Kobe with that. Kobe struggles through his career with those kind of guards, man. So watch out for that. That's going to be a problem. But I expect Ayo Dosunmu to be the one that is guarding Jalen Brunson, man. Because
what about in the starting lineup?
No, not in the start. We just got to work with that.
So, but like, what's the answer?
Because to me, the answer is help.
Josh
Prayer.
Giddey will slow
Do
him
something.
down.
Kobe is going to have to.
I think it's going to be Zach. We saw Zach on Donovan Mitchell last game, and like crazy as it is, he's kind of the defensive stopper on the perimeter with this starting group.
He is.
You know, I'm just
hate to tell you,
it's a weird situation. That's like
reality.
the way that the team is constructed. But I think Zach's kind of having to buy into that, which I think is good for him. But it certainly doesn't make it any easier of a matchup against a guy like Jalen Brunson.
No.
You know, I think I
think Zach's on-ball one-on-one defense has always been passable.
Yeah,
respectable at times even.
Yeah.
It's his off-ball defense that's
and he'll tell you that too. Like he's aware. But I think just in terms of like the home road stuff for Brunson, they played so many games on the road. They've had some blowouts in some of those games. They played the Celtics. They got blown out in that game on opening night. So those numbers probably start to like come back to the middle on both ends.
Sure.
But I mean, I just think you're going to see a better and better Jalen Brunson as the year goes on because he's going to be more familiar with the team he's playing with.
But we'll also, with Zach, that's also a risk because not only is he your best defender, he's your best offensive player also. So that's a risk you're taking. Jalen Brunson's not a dummy, and neither is Thibs. They know this. So they will be going at him, trying to tack him and put him down and have a seat on the bench there. So, which might bring Ayo in earlier than we probably anticipated. So, it's going to be interesting to watch. Like, great players are just great players.
Yeah.
And they just do those things. But you got to try to slow them down some kind of way.
Shout out to Nostalgic Nick in the comments saying Nick's in the house.
Shout out.
What's going on?
Y'all stink.
How you doing over there? You know what? You guys could take this one. You owe us a few. I mean, man, the 90s were fun, weren't they, Dave?
Oh, my God. Oh, so much fun.
Those poor Knicks fans.
Shout out to and nostalgia, Nick. I don't know. That nostalgia stuff. I think it should be called, right now.
What kind of nostalgia are you referring to? What era of nostalgia?
Dude, I was watching The Last Dance yesterday. Like last night, I was checking it out. Like, oh yeah, I remember that.
Are you nostalgic for the mellow Amari Stoudemire Knicks, who also didn't do a whole lot of playoff winning?
Well, Melo did have a great game against the Bulls.
He
man.
did.
I remember that game.
I will
He
never
had a
forget that
great
one.
game. Great
But
game.
I mean,
man.
come on now.
But thank you for being here and hanging out with us, man.
Hanging out with us. Appreciate it.
Yeah. Hit the like on your way.
Congrats on that one. You did get the one playoff series win.
Yeah.
I mean, you needed a lack of MJ and Hugh Hollins to get it done.
Sure.
You did get that one series.
Sure. You got
We'll give
it.
you
though.
that.
Yeah. You also need 1.8 seconds, but we won that game.
Oh.
Yeah. But yeah, you needed those things. But you got it. And I rooted for them when they went to the finals because I was like, this will probably be their only time getting there. And then John Starks said, John Starks, Chris Dunn, clang in game 7.
Charlie Bell.
Oh, man. But he's right. MJ beat everyone in the 90s. You're right, sir.
Yeah.
You're right. We appreciate you, my friend.
That we do. Yeah, this is going to be a fun one. I have no idea what the other thing is. The Bulls are the fastest paced offense in the league. The Knicks are dead last. 96, I think. 96 possessions per 48.
Mm-hmm.
Like literally polar opposites.
Yeah.
Which team will be able to dictate how the pace of play goes tonight could be a big determining factor.
And then the other piece with that is the Knicks are 28th in forcing turnovers and 27th in opponent field goal percentage. So that means they are not turning teams over and they are giving up efficient offense to teams. And like, that's the formula for the Bulls to win, is not turning it over and making their shots. So if the Knicks are going to let them do that, I think, especially if you're making them run and keep up with you, like that can be a way to keep themselves in this game.
And one more Jalen Brunson for you. When he attempts over 5+ threes, 4-1. That's the Knicks record, man.
There you go.
Watch out for that dude.
D-Law also in the comments said, Allen Houston was cool. Allen Houston was cool.
He was.
Okay, you know what? Like, the one year that I kind of was okay with the Knicks winning was that improbable run to the finals in 99. That lockout shortened season.
Yeah.
When they started their season
know
terribly.
Yeah.
It was a total mess.
I was okay with that, too.
There was Dolan drama going on around everywhere.
Yeah, you're
but,
right.
like, dude, that was a fun team.
You're right.
With
Larry
Allen,
Johnson,
Spree,
mm-hmm.
and Johnson.
LJ.
Like, that was a really fun team.
Ewing on the bench.
And we as Bulls fans are like, oh, the dynasty's over.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you for making it a lockout shortened first season post-dynasty. That was kind of you.
Good looking out. Shout out San Antonio
Randy
Spurs.
Brown playing way too many minutes out there.
Dickie Simpkins career highs. Let's go.
Yeah.
Like how Joey was like, that's not a real name.
Yeah.
That's
I still recall, the home opener, they send one player sort of advocate out to center court with a microphone saying, hey, we appreciate your support. We need your support. We love you fans. Thank you. Mm-hmm. And if it's a superstar player or a fan favorite, whoever it is, that year, lockout shortened season, I will never forget it. It was Bill Wennington. Came out and clearly was just very honest with Bulls fans. Like, so guys, those 2 chips were like, hey, this season's gonna be a little different. Let's try and have some fun. I always respected Billy Wennington for going out there and doing that.
Shout out for that, sir.
At the beginning of the season when Bulls fans were like, well, let's brace for some hideousness.
Some bad.
Oof.
I gotta tell you guys something about Dickie Simpkins. Okay. At a past place of employment, I got to meet Dickie Simpkins.
Mm-hmm.
The legend himself?
Yeah, because he came in the Ring of Honor. It doesn't matter. Nicest guy in the whole wide world, does not understand sarcasm. I can't remember what I said. I said something, and he took it very literally, and it was very embarrassing for me. Everybody else knew what I meant, but he did not, and it was very bad.
Oh, man.
Wow.
Okay.
Well, sarcasm can be hard for some people.
Is this not something we can say here? Or?
Nope.
Okay. All right. We can talk about this later.
Remember when Joey thought that Dickie Simpkins was a fictitious
That's what
name?
I just said. I just said, really thought it was fake. He was like, you guys make that up. That's not real. There's nobody named Dickie. He went and looked it up.
Dickie Simpkins?
He went and looked it up immediately.
Yeah.
That was so funny. Holy, there's no way. Yeah.
Legend. Champion.
Dickie.
Champion.
I think he does the play-by-play for Providence right now.
Oh, yeah?
If I'm not mistaken. So
Right on. We are past 6:30 Central Time. That means
And he took
tip-off.
that personally. Yes.
It's just a few moments away. We will be right back here for live postgame after Bulls Knicks. In the meantime, make sure you hit the like button on your way out. Reminder to also, of course, join us Friday for that Coors Light and watch along. That'll be fun. And follow Will to Go Gottlieb _Gottlieb, Big Dave Bow, BWL Sports. I'm Bulls _ Peck. Shout out to the Queen on the controls. One and only Kitty Dovey. Big fan of Dickie Simpkins. Bigger fan of sarcasm.
Ready to hit his joke.
We'll see y'all after the game. See you, be good.
Peace, though. Peace.
We all silly like the mayor.